back to code, paste, save, go back to ABIs. Actually, I'm going to go up one. Nope. Import SBT factory from contracts. And it's mad because it's not being used. SBT factory. So we plop that into the local ABI so that we have basically the factory here ready to go. Let's just take a look at DAOhaus here. And oh yeah, I'm not serving. Yarn start. Okay, so we have the SBT factory in our local ABIs. If I go back to contract, we'll see contracts. We'll see that we have this here. It's yelling at us for something. Insert a comma. It's a weird rule. ABI name is SBT factory. I sometimes, just because I'm a little neurotic about this, like to even copy this just to make sure that it's the exact same thing, because what this is going to do is this is like a pointer. It's going to go find this SBT factory in here. So you want the same name just so you know where it is, or the app knows where it is. And looks like Copilot's given me a little contract address here that I can use. That works good enough. So basically what Copilot said is that, you have this thing called context data. You search inside a chain config, and you'll be looking for this SBT factory. So partially right, Copilot. We don't have that yet. We have to add it in ourselves, but pretty cool for it to guess what pattern we'd be using. And if I find xDie here, so we're gonna make a field called SBT factory. I'm gonna put it here. Any questions so far? How are we doing?
Doing good.
Sweet.
I wonder if people know what an SBT is.
Right, that's a great
SoulBound
question.
token.
Does anyone here not know what an SBT is? I can give a rough rundown. It's a SoulBound token. It's essentially a token that, instead of being openly transferable by the owner, is transferable by some other entity, usually a DAO. The idea is that it's like soul bound to you. You can't really change it. The DAO is the one that changes it for you. And that way, you could have like a role system in your DAO without putting your administrator role and selling it on OpenSea or something. It has many other uses, but it's good for maybe if a DAO wanted to do, say, a credit score or anything. It's a pretty cool application, and it starts to bring a lot of meaning and power to DAOs. So we're excited to sort of start looking into that, and interesting to note that the Moloch contract, the way it awards shares and loot is very similar to what a lot of people are calling SBTs now. Anything I missed there, Deacon? Or got completely wrong or butchered?
No, I think that's right. So it's basically a non-transferable NFT. Except, like you said, it can be transferred by the DAO. These also have the ability where if you own it, you can renounce it or burn it if you want. You just can't trade it. You can't take it on a market.
Gotcha. So that way, someone couldn't, slander you or something. Apply some sort of malicious tag, like a asshole SBT or something.
I think you can.
You can?
I think that's the whole Mark of Cain somebody else criticizing it on.
Oh, okay. But if someone can renounce it, if someone put an asshole SBT on me, I'd be able to renounce that, right?
Well, that depends on the pattern, right? So
in this contract.
I could send you like 15 million assholes, and if there's no consensus function, you cannot reach it.
That's crazy. Okay, yeah, that's definitely a worthwhile criticism. I don't want 50,000 assholes, to be honest.
And what about a million?
What's that?
How would you feel about 1 million assholes?
I think I would prefer that less, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, but maybe if we could somehow take back the word asshole and make it a positive thing, maybe I'd be a little bit more happy with that.
I could give you an upvote.
There we go.
Yeah, we can send you 1 million upvotes.
Okay,
nice.
Cool. I'd feel good about that.
Thanks.
Okay.
So in this contract, you actually can. In this contract, you can burn it.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is that
you could send 1 million assholes, but 50 million burns.
Yeah. It's interesting. So everyone here, be kind. Don't send people 50 million assholes. Don't do that. It's not nice. I'm sure there will be lots of slander and stuff going on later. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So SBT Factory. We have that here, and that's what it's going to be looking for right here. So it goes into, again, our context data, the application central store of data, the chain config, that's that chain object that we're seeing, and it's going to pull out a value called SBT Factory. Just a heads up, this was giving me a little bit of problems, and it's been a while since I've been on this app, so I want to just preface this that we might be debugging this aspect of it today. Let's find out. Right now, we can just move on and get this thing built. Okay, back over. So we have our contract entity. If we go over to contracts, here we go. We're happy. We're going to go over, I think the next thing I like to do is build the form, because then I have something to test. It would be a little bit more logical if I could test the transaction without the form, but currently our Rails and infra in the current state, you kind of have to build the form in order to test the transaction. So I'm just going to build, I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to be clean-ish. SBT forms here inside of the form Legos folder, SBT forms.js. We're going to go, I'm just going to not copy, but use some other boosts for reference here, because again, been a while. I mean, it's been in half an hour, but before that was quite some time. So we'll call this SBT forms, SBT summon. So that's our first form here. And let's see how Copilot does here. ID SBT summon, nice. What's next? Dev true, I love it. What's next? Title. Not quite so much, Copilot. We're going to do summon. Soul. Do you think we should do the full SoulBound token? Not SoulBond. Come on, Copilot. Summon SoulBound token or SBT? Do you think it's? I guess they won't know either way if they don't know what an SBT is. So
do the whole thing.
Okay.
Just because it sounds cool.
It does sound cool.
And SoulBound is actually
although a lot of people.
Is it?
Yep.
Like it, not a hyphenated word. Like it is a single. That's an actual word. Or it is, okay, it's probably just in crypto at least. Okay.
In crypto, yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Summon a DAO controlled soul, one word, token, SoulBound token. Okay. Oh, Copilot hijacking my keyboard shortcuts. Transaction, we don't have one yet, so we're going to leave that null just so we remember. We don't need a custom width. we do need a type. I like to put that at the top. So what we do is we go here. We have this proposal types object, which is in the mess of proposal types in this messy file called proposal utils. We're going to go take a glance right here, big blob. This is basically, what this does is it, on your proposal card, it will show this proposal type at the top of the proposal card. Also, it tells the proposal cards what UI you're going to want to render when, if you need like a custom UI on that proposal card. So this is kind of the way we handle that. Otherwise, there's all these functions you need to do to try to infer what all of these possible proposal types could be trying to display as UI. And that eventually became impossible. So we went with this system. So we're going to go, what are we calling it again? Let's go back to our form. SBT summon. So basically, yeah, summon an SBT. Summon SBT. No, an SBT. Okay. And I don't know why proposal utils is yelling at me. We're getting more of these weird errors. I don't know what's going on in the repo with that lately. I'm just going to close that for now. And oh, no, it's not going to like that. Yeah, it would be nice to know what's going on here. React is defined but never used, but I bet it is. Maybe not. Maybe we refactored. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's actually just not used here. Okay. That's weird that it went through. Okay. All right, so we have a lot of our form built here. So let's go back to poster forms. We're not going to need a custom width. We will get into required in a second here. Once we build out our fields. And we're going to have a single column. So remember from the last video, you have your fields array here, and that tells us the first array is how many columns do I want. And for this one, we only have like something like three fields. So we're only going to want one single field. So we'll just do one here. And then I'm just going to kind of wing in some custom fields. I'm not going to add them to this big field object just because probably not necessary. But that's where I go to look. Sometimes I even copy and paste because I'm lazy. So this title, this object here, or this data type, is a field. It tells it basically what type of field. Actually, good thing to get into here. So the reason we want to tell these field things, these field entities, the type, is that we have this thing called input factory, which, oh my God, look at that. That is crazy. We're having a lot of problems with this particular error here. Don't know what that is. We'll need to sort that out. But so usually ABI input is defined but never used, but it is definitely used. Okay, so we'll have to figure that one out. But usually we are able to like import a new input that we make here. Say if you have like a really complicated input, and then you're able to essentially get the factory to render off the type of input that you want based on the type that you put in the field here. So you're basically printing off a bunch of inputs for your form. When it's working right, it's great. Let me just see here. I'm going to play with my linter and see, do a little debugging at the moment because that's starting to annoy me. And I'm sure for people watching, it is also annoying you. So Yeah. Is Scott around? Hey, Scott, you there?
Yep, I'm here. You have those rules off, and it's still
Yeah,
giving you
see?
that?
Yeah.
Can you turn the ESLint rule back on for 42, and then just change it to off? Change that to off. And then,
Okay.
There you go.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay,
Because
cool.
I think
Awesome.
the default is gonna error. So when you comment it out, it goes back to the default instead of actually turning it off.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Crisis averted. Thank you, Scott. And I'll try it if it does the other ones too. I'll try that as well. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Okay, crisis averted. So our label for the input is going to be, what is our contract arguments? That's, before I get into the fields, that's something I like to look at. So let's take a look at our factory. Read, write, got my old test lingo there. So we got a name. So we're going to call this SBT name for the label, token name. And then this name, I definitely stressed this in the last video, but this name property of your field is king. It is kind of the thing that you use to reference this field throughout like this entire process. You want to make sure that when you're referencing this field that you have this name correct. So SBT name is what we're going to call it. And then when we want to say, okay, you have to have a name for this SBT thing, we're going to look inside, we're going to search inside of values dot SBT name, and it'll find it in there. I think that's what we're using, right? If we go to another form, say poster forms, a little review here for me. Oh no, we're not going with values. We're just going straight up. I guess it doesn't look inside the values object. So we're just going SBT name. So it's gonna basically, what we're doing here is we're telling the form, hey, this field here in this column with this name is required. I like to put the HTML4 to be the same as the name. You can do that differently though. The HTML4 is mainly just for accessibility purposes. Placeholder is going to be token name, and it's going to expect type any. Expect type is just like a quick and dirty validation system. Say we were using an address, we would just put address here. Say we wanted an integer, we could do that. You can do rounded numbers, URLs, all that stuff. You can see it. If you want to take a closer look, you can see, I think it's in here. Yeah, so your validate things here. Basically, there's a factory that looks at this object here, and whatever you put here, it's going to pick a validation out from this validate object and apply it to whatever gets input. So we got a couple more here. This is going to be the SBT symbol, SB token symbol, lovely. We're gonna go symbol, love it, input, and my computer is bugging out a bit. Okay, and we have the last one is the receiver. So with the final argument here on the address is the receiver. The receiver is the person who receives and ultimately has control of the SoulBound token. So in the case of the DAO, because the functionality of this contract will be given to a minion, that's the address that we're going to want to use and input into the contract. That way, when we want to control who a lot of the functions on the SoulBound token contract that gets generated, we actually have that functionality as a DAO. Again, we do that through the minion. Minion is a bit of a review here. The minion is a way for a Moloch DAO to interact with smart contracts that are sort of outside of itself, anywhere kind of in your current network that you're using. Actually, also other networks with the new boost. So yeah, actually, we don't need this. What we're going to do is we're going to use a pre-made field that we use for a lot of other minions, and we're going to put that here, minion select. And then that should be our form. Basically, provided we don't error out on anything, we're going to SPT form, we're exporting. We'll go back to form, head on down, SPT, come on. Oh man, it's really going to make me type it out manually. No, not a C.
Do you need are you doing this on XDAI?
Yeah. I'm going to
Okay,
try.
so-
Yeah.
The factory is deployed on XDAI too, so I just sent you a DM with the address.
Yeah, that was I guess
think.
a pretty dumb assumption of me to assume that it was automatically on XDAI. Thank you. Good catch. Okay. So we'll update that. Deacon was looking out for me and noticed that I was using the Rinkeby address that we had prepared earlier inside of XDAI. So I'm going to update this inside of the chain config.
I'm hoping that it's the same. The
It's different.
API is the
but-
same too. I don't.
Oh, that
Okay.
I couldn't tell you. Like, we can go take a look though. Hey, code, read contract. No, sorry, write contract. My mistake. Name, symbol, receiver. Oh, and we got a details. All right. And it's a different function name. I'm just going to put that on my notepad for later.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. That's good. We have. It's good we have this though. Better to have a factory than not have one, right? Can't resolve SBT forms in form Legos. Am I losing my mind here?
Isn't it SVT form?
Ah!
Yeah,
Good
just
catch.
apply it for.
Good catch. Thank you. SBT forms is defined but never used. Dear God. We're erroring out for that? Okay. That's okay. And that is why... Okay, so go here. It is here. I just like to double check all the links are there. Oh, great. Okay. SPT forms, pulling from here. We have a form. We're spreading it. SPT summon. Dev is true. I'm going to go and turn off all the other dev is true tags out there. So just we're able to focus. And then okay, let's go find a DAO. So Gnosis chain. I don't usually test a Gnosis chain. So I got to look for a little test DAO here. Guild kicking myself here. Let's see if we can see our minion. That was a problem. Okay, so we do have a minion. I'm going to go to... so, again, anyone that wasn't watching the last video, we have this dev test list, which, again, should not have 4 forms there, but it does. Let's see. Sure. Has 1 form. Perfect. There we go. Here's our form. Don't crash. There we go. Nice. So we have our token name, symbol, and the minion. All of these are required fields. So I'm going to go back to the SPT form. Oh my God. Okay. All right. SPT form. SPT symbol is required. I don't want all that stuff. Copilot. Someone else here use Copilot? I'm just going to look for the name here. Oh, boy.
Is it free to try, or
Yeah, you get a free
are you
month.
paying for it?
You get a free month, and then they're going to charge you.
I played with it in the beta. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using it a while. It's scary powerful.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like sometimes it'll do like a whole utility function for me, no problem. And then other times I find it's kind of a little bit distracting. But it's cool because it'll learn like the data structures and stuff in this application and autocomplete for me, which I found very handy.
This is totally anecdotal, but I thought that it seemed to be better if I wrote tests first. I don't know if that was just me projecting or if it actually like analyzes the tests as well and gleans some information from that.
Probably. I would believe that. Maybe that's interesting. So it looks at your tests and then builds out functionality to that. Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to experiment with it a little more, but just like truly drive test-driven development that way would be pretty good.
Yeah. Then it becomes a little bit more... That makes sense though, right? Because the tests are a lot more like exactly stating kind of what you need. Both like in writing and just like within like the results of the code. That's pretty cool. I find that like it's really good at just like normal language things. Like it just starts to like if I say review, it starts to make this snippet like it just starts to make interesting little things here, and the plain text language stuff is often correct, like what I'm trying to get across, which is probably the creepiest of all for me. Also the most
It's that uncanny valley.
Yeah. Okay. So
Something that just kind of weirds me out about all that stuff, especially when you realize it's like this was created by an AI.
should stop putting profanity in
Like
all
the mini dolly foot stuff.
What's that?
Oh, nothing.
Oh no, we're having this problem again. How is it doing this? It was just working in the other one too. In like our other test. My God. So I'm going to give everyone here a little bit of context as to what's going on. So just we can get the hive mind debugging this. So recently we released a new Gnosis safe minion that allows us to, I guess, Deacon, two of the big features would have been the cross-chain capabilities and the ability to also visualize it in the Gnosis UI, right? The challenge is that I think the subgraph is getting a little mixed up, and it's not displaying our current minions, which is not handy right now. So I think one quick workaround, just for test purposes, is either like we just hard code the address directly in there, which is a little crude and wouldn't work as an actual boost, but it might get us working for today. Or we start to see what's going on here, because I was just looking here, and if I go to Safe Minion Classics, the minion select has it. I'm just going to do a full refresh and take a look here before we do anything drastic. This is the Gnosis chain one. Safe Minion Classics. No, yeah, and it's gonna have it. Bet you anything. Okay, so now we're gonna go to manage. We're gonna go to preview, and it doesn't have it. Okay.
Are you getting an error or anything on that field?
Probably got a lot of errors. Yep. I was seeing this error when I opened up the repo today earlier. I don't really know what it was, and I didn't quite have time to debug it. JSON RPC response. Cannot post DAO 64 settings. Oh, okay, so this has something to do, I think maybe cannot post DAO settings. This, I think, has something to do with their API. I don't think that's related. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plumb the depths of this minion select, one of our probably most complicated and sort of difficult components. Just because one of the big challenges with this app is all the different versions of minions that we get. And in sort of managing that, I wonder if it, because it doesn't know, oh, okay, I think I know, folks. Right now, this is not getting a reference to what minion type it's looking for. So how would it know to look for a Gnosis safe minion? So I think this problem is different than the problem we were experiencing earlier. And I bet once that I build the transaction, we're going to see a safe minion in here. Let's maybe we can bet some meaningless SBT tokens on it. Anyone want to wager?
I think you're right. 50 to 1.
50 to 1. Oh boy.
Even if I had an SBT token, I wouldn't be able to give it to you if you win, right?
That's true. We'd have to vote on it. That's true. We can't bet SBT tokens. We could do a DAO bet. You do like the bet through the DAO. Yeah.
If the DAO brokers it for us.
Yeah. Decentralized gambling. Casinos. Guess that's already a thing, eh? Gonna just again look at my poster stuff because they have the new API. Export const, so this is going to be SBT TX. It would be cool if it could generate, oh wow, let's see here. Nope, not quite. So contracts.sbt, almost Copilot, almost, or it's factory, I think. Right, I think as much as cool and talented as Copilot is, I'm gonna go in and look manually. Yeah, it's factory. So contracts dot SBT, no Copilot, factory, yes. Oh, and I'm building a multi-TX action. Bear with me here, people. Sorry. So this is a build multi-TX action. I kind of showed this off last one as well. It just makes these multi-calls much easier. Worth noting that we're not actually making a multi-TX today, but I generally find that the safe minions are probably the most reliable and easy to work with, especially with this utility. So I'm going to use this first, and if things get nasty, we'll maybe revert to a vanilla minion if they're still working well. Build multi-TX action. So you basically get an array of actions here, and just because we're doing one, we have the one transaction here. I'm just going to basically look at what we have here. So target contract. It is interesting that we have a target contract and the ABI value. I wonder if that is, I think that's one of the limitations of this data structure. Context data.chainconfig.sbt factory. Double check again and chain just to make sure. Gnosis, yep. Find SBT. There we go. And it's in Gnosis, right? It's in Gnosis. Yes, it's in Gnosis. Okay, so. Perfect. Next.
Do you need to update that ABI?
Oh, I will, yeah, because it's a new contract, right? Yeah. Lovely. And I need to add that extra field, too, for details. Or I could just use the details JSON. I forget how to get that there, but we can look at another. Okay. So, so we're going to update that ABI. Good call.
Yeah, I think the idea of the details field is so you could pass in like a DAO address or something. I don't know. If we wanted to create some kind of thing for an eventual subgraph.
All right. Yeah, no, that'd be helpful. That's great because I think that's next episode. I think Sam's going to do some subgraph utilities here so that we can perhaps visualize our SoulBound tokens within the DAO. Cool. Not used to using BlockScout for this. Okay, contract ABI. Come back here. We're going to go to SBT factory control and nice. Summon SBT address. Token. Interesting. Wait. Name, string, address, right? That's exactly.
That's the event.
Oh, did I copy an event?
No, it's just in the ABI too. If you scroll down a little bit, I think you had the function. There it is.
Summon. Oh, okay, cool.
Summon SBT.
Yeah, that's right. Name, symbol, receiver details. Perfect. Deacon, you're a much better co-pilot than GitHub will ever be. Okay, cool. So we have that set there. Oops, stop that. Okay, function name, we don't think it's that. It is... We're going to find our summon SBT here. We'll just do a direct copy just to make sure. We're going to go over to our transaction. Give that a little paste. Going to be keeping an eye on my poster just to make sure I'm doing everything right. All my fields are correct. This is the joys of JavaScript. It does the poll automatically for us. Function name post args. So arguments. Is everyone getting sort of the vibe or like the idea of how we kind of find arguments within the system? So basically like the search functionality. Should I go into that in detail again, or is everyone kind of comfortable with that through like past experience and maybe watching the other video? If anyone here maybe wants further elaboration, just let me know.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
For sure. So when we're looking for arguments to send to the contract, we basically want to pass the API or ethers in basically an array of values in the order that the contract is expecting them. And you can get a good hint of that when you look in the API here. So you'll see these inputs, and this is kind of the thing that you're going to want to match. So you're going to want to pass a string, a symbol, an address string, and another string. And you want to pass them in the exact order that the contract is expecting. Now, if I were to just like have an application with, 1 or 2 transactions, it would be much easier just to do this manually inside the React component. But we have, something like 40 or 50 transactions here. So we want to use kind of the same API over and over again, just so that we're not maintaining, 40 or 50 transactions across the app. So what we have to do is we search either the values object or the application data. Remember with the contract, we had searched the context data. We're going to use this search notation, and then there's a little algorithm inside the app that's going to search all the data within state, within the application store, and pull that out and pass it directly to the ethers, to the ethers library to be passed to the contract. Sorry, to whoever asked that question. Did I kind of get the answer that you're looking for? Anything need elaboration?
So those values are from the form.
Yeah, values comes from the values object that we get from React hook form. It probably should be like, if we could go back and rebuild it, or like in V3, it'll say form values. And it just basically, that's what we're getting from the form.
Are there so there's like multiple namespaces, values is the React form one, but others are going to have different like beginning values, like they're not necessarily going to start with values.
But I would say there's like some really common ones. There's local values, which you can pass directly into a React component. I think you'll see it. What if we go to proposal actions? I think have a bunch of them. No, but like you can see here that we're actually using the transaction builder kind of inline inside of a React. Inside the React application instead of building these Legos. And sometimes you just need to get the arguments from the React component and not from anything else. Like you don't want to search the entire application. So you can either pass in args directly, or what some people do is they have a local values object that they use. There's also a default values, which kind of just you can pass in hard-coded stuff in there as well. And the other one is the context data. So if you want to search all the state and data that currently exists within the application, besides like lower level components, everything that is in all the context, you can kind of like traverse that tree just by using that dot notation. And that would really suck if we didn't have a log values thing that will actually, like, we can see real time what your values are. So basically what I find is we do a lot of getting values from the form and a lot of getting values from context data, and not a whole lot else. And there's a bit of like default values and special cases like that. But mostly what you're going to do is you're going to have forms and then your fields. And then if you have like complex number crunches or API calls or anything like that, you can modify the data going into that you're passing into values using the field itself. If you want to get like really into the deep stuff, if you have something that's like an API call, what you'll do is you might even create a new value. So and then kind of pass that into the values object manually, and then pick it up using this search function here. But yeah, that's essentially what it's doing. It's using a dot notation to search data within the application.
So just to go on one thing you said you could do some data modification using the field itself. Is that like user types something in and then you have an opportunity to kind of massage the data before sending it on the transaction?
Exactly, yeah. So let me think of a field that does it. Where am I using that a lot? I'm just going to search. So we have a register options utility. So it just taps into the register options that you get with React Hook Form. And so set value as is the name of the like convert function that they have. So if you want to modify a data or modify some sort of data that is coming in through one of your fields, you can use this set value as and pass that in the register options prop that you're passing into the generic or whatever input that you're wrapping. So this is just like a regular text area. And then, this is for the list box. So the list box is a great example. So with that, you have this text area, and basically people want to be able to pass in a bunch of addresses and have them be kind of separated by commas. And we don't want to pass to the contract one string with a bunch of comma separated addresses. We want to pass an array of addresses. So what this set value does is every single time the value of the field changes, it's going to split using this regex here. It's going to map over them and trim any white space. And then it's going to filter, and it's going to filter out anything that's falsy. And what that will do is not only will it handle any sort of comma separation, but like if just say a user also decides to use a space or a new line, or not the space, but just the new line, it will trim by that as well. And then it's going to trim the white space so it's not sending crappy data to the contract. And sometimes there's like these little leftover space, like just empty strings. And we don't want those being sent to the contract either, messing up our arguments. So we're going to filter those out. It does all those things, and then it returns that value back to whatever the name is here, whatever we decide to name list box. And so when you're searching the value that comes out of list box, you're just going to put that name, and it does it automatically for you so that you don't have to do any modifications post-transaction.
Is this different than the input factory, Jordan?
So this list box will be composed by input factory. So as you see here, I'm going to find list box. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to click on it, but yeah. So basically, if I have a form, right, that form.
Just quickly, George.
Yeah,
just
totally.
No, we got a little bit of a late start, but just wanted to give you a time check that we're at the hour. So
okay.
Some people may need a drop, and some might not. So
yeah, I think this is a 2-hour session too, right? But I mean, like, people are free to come and go as they please. I'm actually pretty happy to be going over this stuff here because I feel like that's a bit of what the last tutorial missed, was basically the explanations of these like inner workings and kind of the hard custom work that you have to do frequently with a lot of boosts. So yeah, good question, Plor. Anyone, if you're running out of time, we are recording this. We can cut it up into kind of like convenient snippets that maybe we can explain, or maybe jot out some docs around it for you. We'll get to the SBT eventually, I promise. Maybe not today. We'll see. Who was asking that question?
That was me. It's Brian.
Hey, Brian. Yeah, so what this does is this is just like a big factory. And it's just going to, it's not the most efficient factory. It's going to go through each one and say, like, is this input type a payment input? No. Then go to the next thing. Is this a minion select? Okay. And then you set that inside of your field object. So when you set this minion select, it's going to go type minion select, and it's going to go through all these things. It's going to find a minion select and render that on the form, sort of in the order that you put it in the form that you built. So inside, if we go to our SBT forms, it's basically this factory is kind of on a loop, and it's going to just render off these fields based on the types that you give it. So in the case when you're asking about that list box, if I change one of these to list box, I might break it, but if it doesn't break, it should just render off a list box for me. There you go. There's our list box. And then it says,
nice.
Remember that comma separation thing? Then you can and you can see it has 2 items there, 3 items, and so on.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Sweet. Any other questions about like the factory, sort of those inner workings? We also, like, if you're in Listbox, or any of these custom fields that we have, register options also gives you the ability, I think, to add validation. It's been a long time, but there is a validation engine in here somewhere. I think I'm just in the wrong scope. Right? Yeah, I'm in the wrong scope. And you can like do custom validation here as well. You can do like a min characters, max characters required. You can do it all in line in the React components as well, because sometimes you need to base like your required or just a lot of conditions based on like maybe an asynchronous call or anything that's coming in from the app, and writing it out purely in static data won't exactly do it for you all the time. And the cool thing about this is you can sort of compose this you can like keep wrapping this. So say I want a specialized list box that only takes numbers or something like that, and will only max out at 3 items. I can like make another React component and then wrap list box the way I'm wrapping generic text area, and it's going to keep spreading all the props. And I have a little pipe function here that's going to spread the register options kind of infinitely, like sort of like an infinite depth. So you can keep spreading more and more things, like more set values, more validation. You can kind of keep stacking them on top of each other as much as you need. That was a long rant, but hopefully that'll be helpful. Okay, where were we? Input SB token. Okay, so let's go back to the form, or we were working on the transaction. Wow, I went on a tear there. Transaction, SBT transaction. So args, so we can sort of gather how we're going to be gathering the args here. The explanation kind of looks like Copilot's up to date at least. We're all good?
Yeah, you're just passing the fields in according to the API, right?
Yeah. We're just going to be searching values. So we got to tell this API, like, look inside the form values. in order to find this key it's actually, that's sneaky there, Copilot. It's not actually the address, but yeah, so it's going to be looking for inside the values object an SBT name. And this one's going to be SBT symbol. And then this one's going to be values dot selected minion, I think is how, how we get our values. So we have our contract. Let's just double check. I was, because it's not TypeScript, we can't really know all the things we need. I just try to look at like some of the most recent transactions and make sure I'm getting my stuff right. It's kind of a little bit lazy, but it does work. So yeah, we want the I'm in poster forms. Sorry, folks. Okay, so actions. Oh, and we have the JSON details, which is going to be interesting. How many people here know JSON details? Dealt with the kind of the perils of JSON details in the past. How many people haven't? I'm going to
I
take
was
that as
using
like,
it on poster, and I don't quite remember what oh, you're looking at poster right there.
yeah. So with this, we need to pass proposals essentially like metadata so that they can render things like proposal type, the title of the proposal, a bunch of like pretty valuable key metadata items for the app to work. So it's like super important. Like it's usually when I'm building a boost, it's the first thing I forget. I just never seem to remember it because it's not the contract arguments. It's not top of mind. I always just kind of struggle with it. What it does is it's like this argument thing. It's going to map it to an object, all these values that you're picking out with specific names. And then it's going to JSON stringify it and pass that to the contract. So we're also going to want the JSON values here. And I got to remember how we do that in the contract argument. So that's just something to remember. We got to do JSON values here. But for now, we're just going to get this set up. This details object is kind of how we build the shape of this. So we're going to have the SBT set or SBT summon, and we're going to be looking for a title. It's not going to have a values.title, so we're just going to have a summon. Maybe our title will be SoulBound Token, and it's going to turn that into a JSON, a field on a JSON string, and then proposal type. So this is going to look inside the form data. Again, kind of poor naming on our part or my part. Like form data doesn't necessarily, this should be like form Lego or something. It's going to look on the form entity that we have and look for this type. And so we have the SBT summon here. It's going to find that. And just so that I think we should just go SBT summon SBT. Just so that we know which type of proposal it is so that we can render off some custom UI. So we have that now, SBT summon. It's yelling at me for some reason. I think it wants a comma. Yeah. And we have SBT transaction. So we're going to just check details is implemented and SBT summon. There we go. Form data.type. This is where I was erroring out a lot before the show here. So we're going to see how it goes. Contract transaction. we got to spread this in. SBT. No, again, it's going to make me do it. So lazy. Nope. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. Spread that in sort of our central store of all the application transactions. And this will kind of give it to the rest of the app to consume. So now when I go into my form, my SBT forms, I have transaction null, no need anymore, no need. Go here, SBT, summon, and that's basically telling the form which contract transaction you're going to call when it submits. So we've built basically our key entities here. Input, SBT token name, and the SBT name, the SBT symbol, the minion select, and what we got to do is we also got to get the details JSON in there as well. So let me see. The Moloch transactions, the classic OG Moloch transactions. There we go. We have a type. So this is going to tell it, hey, don't search the app for these arguments. Instead, do a details JSON. And then we're going to gather details from this. So let's just copy. Sometimes you have some like really complicated things that you need to do. We have some like additional functionality to allow us to do a little bit of extra work within these gather args. We don't really need to do it as much anymore with the safe minion and kind of the new functions that are there. But like under the hood, there's a little bit of this going on. So SBT transaction. So again, for the fourth argument here, it's going to go through these, it's going to get the values and save them in the array, and then it's going to go, whoops, no, that's something completely different. We're going to send you to the details.json or details to JSON API, which I really hope works. And we're going to look again for SBT summon and make sure that we have access to that and be passing that in as the final argument of the SBT summon transaction. So let's see where we're at. We got a details.json that is not defined, but never used. Okay, so TX Legos. All right. Using my mouse today. Yeah, what's up?
Quick note on this details field is that I just put it in there because I didn't know if the summoner would want to add some extra details for whatever the application use case is.
Right.
Really, it can be an empty string. It doesn't matter. But the only like contextual things that I think would make sense is maybe like a DAO address. Although
we can totally do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we want to add like a DAO address, maybe a name, like, or we have the SBT name. So let's get that in there too, eh?
I don't think we'll need, because we have the name and symbol already. So.
Okay. So we have a title. Do we need another like a title field, or I thought we just have like a static title, but do that. So we can do DAO address. So it's not going to come in through values. That's one of those things that comes in through context data. Trying to think at like which point does it come.
Even DAO address might be a little odd here. Now that I think about it, just because this, you could transfer ownership to a different DAO, maybe, and then this is kind of stuck forever in the summoning event.
Right. I think maybe later on, as we kind of develop the boost a little bit more, maybe it'd be cool to have like a originating DAO like that it was originally summoned at or something.
Yeah.
That make kind of sense.
Something like that might be good.
Yeah. So maybe we'll just leave this for now.
Although that
might also be a problem.
No. Yeah, maybe someday, but
someday
could be.
Okay. Oh, I bet I still have it on Listbox, don't I?
It actually is good to have the DAO address there, I guess, because it's going to be summoned by a minion, or I mean, the owner will be a minion, so we'd have to do some weird tracking down of what DAO owns that minion. Anyways, not too big of a deal.
Yeah,
So,
oh, sorry.
You can finish, Jordan, if you.
No, I was just blabbering.
I was just going to ask. So like, if I look at this structure here, I see a little bit of duplication with the details to JSON. But the reason for that, if I'm understanding, is that one of those, the args goes to the minion to execute the details to JSON, and then the top level details to JSON goes to the DAO that owns that minion.
Yeah.
Or sorry, I guess
args. The args would go to the contract. That's the details field on the contract, if I understand.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like two different locations. As Deacon was saying, this one's going to the contract here, and this one's gonna help you set up your proposal because when you call this transaction, it's gonna call a proposal on the DAO, and it needs to have that metadata in order to render off the proper UI for this proposal type. So yeah, it's you're right. There's like duplication. I can explain to you exactly how kind of that got built. Essentially, like this is a newer function, and we're not always passing like details objects to things. So I think when we built this out, or when I built this out, like I wasn't like considering like maybe just taking it from the whole thing and just applying it here, maybe building like a separate API that you could just say like, just get the details to JSON, right? Like just commenting that out. But like, yeah, it's just like a little bit disambiguated, but you got to send it to a couple different places. And I guess maybe there's use for that. Like if you wanted to send different details, like one specific to the proposal and then one specific to the SoulBound token as well. I guess there's probably something to be said for that as, too.
Gotcha.
Cool. So like, I think we're ready to kind of just start plowing through a bunch of these errors and see what happens. No promises today, but I need better autofill. What are we calling this? Test 1. Test 1. And then remember that bet? There we go. Boom. We have our minion. Oh my God. Why wasn't it working before? Interesting. I guess talking through things really does help. So there we go. We'll see what kind of proposal it actually spits out and whatnot. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's just a no op error. It looks like oops, no, we got a fail. We need to start looking at some of these bugs, I think. So this is the refresh API vault. The refresh of the vault token values. I don't think that's going to affect us here, but I'm going to just do a little screen capture just to remember to make a little bug card. And I wonder what that is. So yeah, here's our thing. It's not going to have any custom stuff here because we haven't built like a custom UI yet for the proposal card. But it basically made our proposal types coming through, and we can start running this to see if it would actually fire and if the data is actually getting through to the factory contract. Something I always test too. Like usually, like if it makes the proposal, there's still a lot of potential errors that you might find at execution. And yeah, we're getting some refresh API vault. JSON, you must provide the JSON interface of the contract. Contract missing ABI error. Okay. But yet it's still working. I think this is... Has anyone else in V2 land been seeing these?
Is that something with the view details or anything, or no?
Could
the
be.
view details takes you into the detail card.
Yeah. And I don't have the custom UI in there, so it won't be trying to decode anything yet. But maybe that does have something to do with the minion stuff. Hopefully it executes.
Can you look at those network requests real quick? Or are those network requests?
These?
The failed ones or the errors.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. So this is from our Vault API for sure. So it's just not returning any values, I guess. The other one is the one that's kind of confusing to me. You must provide a JSON interface of the contract when it stands. That sounds like one we wrote.
Yeah.
Contract missing ABI error. And it's happening on, that could be a decoder, yeah.
Minion utils.
Nope. Yeah.
But you don't have to debug it now. I mean, you just snapshot it. We can look into it.
Okay. What? I'm just curious, sorry. I came in here looking for bugs. And I will have it's the decoding utilities. So this would probably have something to do with the some of the decoding from that new Gnosis minion. Making me think that, because we're running this, we have hooks that automatically decode at the top level of the proposal card, I think. So even though we're not decoding for any sort of custom UI, we have a hook here that will, I think, that will decode for us. Use DAO member? No, use injector. Where's that hook? Prop actions? No, proposal card brief. It is here somewhere. I know it exists. There's like minion action. Use minion action. Perfect. So yeah, when it sees that it's a valid minion, and because we didn't change minion types, what happened here is that it's going into the minion action, and it's going to say, oh, yep, we got a correct minion type. So we're going to go and call get minion action. But because this new Gnosis API, maybe the library or something that we're calling maybe doesn't support it. I'm not quite sure on the details there. It would be returning some of that value, some of that error. That's like when we go to debug, probably where I would look. I still think that we solve this probably best by changing that minion type, because the whole app is sort of built around minion types.
Can you double check what's the minion type of the book page?
Yeah, of course. Vaults. I'm using Wrinkles, Gnosis safe. So this is like a really old DAO, so it's got to be using the old minion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is the old one. on XDAI.
Okay.
I'm using the old one just because I heard there was some trouble with the with using the new one, or it was like, I guess, causing these decoding errors, or was it with the old one?
So can you go to minions utils and print or console log the minion type there?
Go to minion, sorry?
Utils?
Yes, of course.
It's the first tab on the left. Yeah, just right there. Can you just console log these params variable?
The params? Sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then we'll go back. 2 proposals here, params. And then we have, so that's our payroll proposal. We're looking for our token data. Oh boy, we got some.
Yeah, I just saw that it was the error. Yeah. It's because the, I think the subgraph on Gnosis chain is not updated.
Yep. That makes
sense. Oh, no, there is the safe. No, there's the safe minion version. No,
yep,
that's not the problem. Can you go down? Because I think I just saw that safe minion version field null as null. Yeah, there is. Just saw it. I just saw it again.
This
Did
one.
You see that there's
safe minion version. Yeah, this is from a Nifty minion.
Oh, got it. Yeah,
interesting that it's coming. Oh, so maybe that's it. We don't use Nifty minions anymore, right? So maybe. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's that the coding error is from a Nifty minion that is there.
And we just got a white screen of death
proposal
here.
List. On that list of proposals, it's trying to decode a proposal from a Nifty minion. So
I got a white screen of death here on proposal details. Text box is not defined. Okay. Let's go into that. Oh, and that's why, remember proposal utils had those things that I had to comment out. Now it needs those. So that was because of the linting earlier, the funky linting. Let's see if we can, there we go. So we just got to process probably like a billion proposals beforehand. Just because I wasn't expecting to, this is going to destroy my accounting for next year. Yeah.
Do we need to process them to execute?
Unless you have quorum?
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay. It's just these two.
Yeah.
How are we doing here, everyone? Are we bored? So it looks like it's going to execute. So yeah, there's two things there. It's the, okay. So let's look at the last transaction. So right now, I guess if we want, what's up?
Oh, I was just thinking if we continued this on and then built a boost to mint SBTs, actually, knowing that this contract is owned by the DAO after it's been summoned and things like that, that might be tricky. I don't know. Like, does that need to be stored in metadata somewhere?
Sorry, noticing that the DAO has been summoned. Yeah.
But just knowing that the DAO owns this SBT factory now as in one of the minions, and then to have like a, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter. If we wanted to do a quick one, we could just.
So they own this
point
factory?
to the concept.
Or they own this SBT?
The DAO. Yeah, the SBT token.
Right. From that. Okay. I get you. It has basically all the ones that you can mint from.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You'd want to. I guess these are our events here, right? The token, the receiver. So this is the token. We can go check that out. But yeah, we would want to in the subgraph grab these entities, and we could map the DAO like this to the DAO entity, right? The token. Probably build out a quick view of the things that we have. So here's our token.
Yeah.
It looks like it's working as it should, right? Like has all the things here. Let's take a look at the name. I never use BlockScout for this. How do I just get the name? Oh, test 1. Okay, that's what I actually called it. Yeah. So test symbol worked, and the JSON string also worked. So, folks, what I would do is if I was trying to make a custom proposal card UI, is let's just go to newest and all. What I do, there's a factory. Remember, like the input factory? We have the same thing for these proposal cards here. And so what it's going to do is going to read through the proposal type and then generate some sort of custom UI, basically any UI that you want. And it's going to decode that minion data for you automatically. And then you can do whatever you want with that data. So in this case, we would pull in that minion data and we would get that details string and get the I actually don't think we need the details string. We could just get the name directly from the decoded data or the symbol and just say like creating, this SBT factory, for the DAO. And then just so you have a little bit more elaboration here for users, which token you're creating is probably pretty important. I don't think we have time to get into that today, but I think that'd be maybe fodder for another tutorial soon. I'm going to start spending a lot more time in Fishbowl here. It's good to sort of go through our stuff and test it and whatnot.
I have a question about the inner workings of minions. When I went on a test DAO and went to create a minion, and one of the form fields was asking me for the address of an already created Gnosis safe. And so is the flow to create a Gnosis safe and then link it to the minion, or can the minion create the Gnosis safe? And then I have a follow-up question about Gnosis.
I think that is when you have an existing Gnosis safe that you want to wrap the sort of minion, I don't know if it's exactly a module, but the minion module around it, so that you can use one of your like safes that existed previously before you linked it up to your DAO. But I don't think you don't have to do that at all.
So there must be another way to create a minion and have it also create a safe.
Yeah, I think that's what it does by default, if I'm not mistaken, unless something's changed. Summon minion, safe minion. We might run into some problems because I don't know if we're still summoning old minions or not. So right now on easy mode, it's not going to ask me for the existing minion. I think easy mode and difficult mode is sort of there you go. It's only going to ask for that if you're in advanced mode.
Okay. Maybe I was in advanced mode and didn't realize it. So
just trying to go pro.
When I did go look at Gnosis safe with to generate a safe there, and you put in an address as the safe owner, and I was wondering if I'm the address or if I'm the safe owner and then I set up a minion, do I have like a backdoor access to that kind of minion Gnosis safe?
Yes. Yeah, but you can revoke that, I think, and give that to the DAO.
Okay.
Deacon, like there's a whole process around that.
Yeah. And basically, any safe that you've created through the safe interface, you could use as a minion. The default way in the DAO is to summon a safe and the minion at the same time, and when it does that, it doesn't need to have any signers. But if you've created a safe in the past, or you just want to create it on the safe UI because you're adding some other modules or whatever, that's just a standard way. You'd need to have signers on it. The interesting thing there is if you do add that safe to be controlled by a DAO, then it kind of has two controlling parties. The DAO has unilateral control through proposals, and the signers have unilateral control over their transactions. They're not linked in any way. You can remove all the signers on the safe in the future if you wanted to just hand it all over. Otherwise, you create a situation where theoretically, and I mean, some people have done this in the past, where the signers have almost veto rights over a DAO proposal. Because the DAO proposal could go through, be passed, and ready to be executed. The signers could go in and remove all the funds or something to make the proposal fail, or the execution fail.
Okay. So there is a scenario where backdoor access is possible if you created it through that advanced mode.
Yeah.
I guess that was one thought that I had, so I guess just clarity on that. But then
I think the UI is explicit about that, though, right? Deacon, Santiago, from what I remember from the process, like it shows the owner or something like that, or it tells you until you revoke it, right?
Sorry, what was the question again?
What UI is saying is that there's a potential backdoor. Say if you create a safe minion and you're the holder and you don't tell anyone about it, and you're like, hey, everyone, here's the safe minion, put all your funds in here. There is a warning and some sort of UI in there that tells everyone that like there is a externally owned address here, right? From what I remember, there was, and then like a revoke button or something like that actually took you through that process.
Yeah, on the vault page you have like required action. Then a module as the signer, as a single signer, it will show you that you need to remove or send a proposal to remove all the existing signers from that safe.
And I think it shows up like around here somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Or is it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
It's right there. The signer threshold.
Oh, there you go. Right.
Okay. So it's not an invisible.
If it's one of one, that means that it's the DAO.
Usually.
Cool.
Right?
And if it was like a 1 of 2 or 2 of 4 or anything else, there's going to be a button there that says remove all signers if you want, which will create a proposal to actually remove all the signers except for the DAO.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then a question a bit more relevant to what we're doing now. So I've heard it said that the minion enables external contract calls. But is it true that it's actually the Gnosis safe that's enabling external contract calls? Like, does it have to be a safe minion to do the external contract calls?
So the external contract calls, that was through all of our minion modules. So we were able to do that with like the vanilla ones that were more sort of divorced from Gnosis, like in the early stages. I do believe we do get some superpowers though from using Gnosis, like multi-call and or does multi-call come directly from our contracts as well? I think it actually comes from the contract, right? The minion contract. So Gnosis we're just using that.
So I guess it's more about it's like the evolution of the minion. The minion used to be a smart contract wallet in itself, basically. So it would hold, the minion itself would hold funds and be able to execute transactions. Now the minion is more of a shim, meaning it's just like glue between the DAO and a safe. And it's what's called a module on a safe. And so now currently, like all the execution is passed through that shim to the safe to actually execute, and the safe executes multi-call.
In the case of a safe minion, but of the vanilla minion.
Yeah.
So I guess where, like, as a Boost developer, like when you're selecting that minion, like which options are available to you for safe minions and which are available in vanilla minions, or do I need to think about that?
I personally,
not too much, point, I think.
Just like I'll give the short version. I just use the safe minion now for pretty much everything because it can essentially do anything any of the other minions can do, and it's kind of the one we support the most. So if I was making a boost today, it would just be safe minion. Deacon will probably give you a little bit more of the details of like where, like more of the detailed view of that.
Yeah, no, just use the safe minion. I think we've even turned off summoning of the deprecated ones. We still support them if you've already have it on your DAO, but
okay. Yeah, I was
the safe minions do everything that the vanilla minion did, plus more.
I was just thinking from the point of view of a Boost developer, it's like, so it sounds like vanilla minions are deprecated, or like, could there be a scenario where I create a Boost and then a DAO who has a vanilla minion tries to use it and it doesn't work, but if we're kind of directing people to just code for safe minions and the vanilla ones are less common, like what are we directing?
Yeah, don't even worry about the vanilla minions.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like that.
The one thing to remember, and you can see it here too, is it says minion address, do not send funds, and then above is the Gnosis safe address. Even though like we're submitting a transaction to the minion, minion basically just like stores it until the proposal is passed. Everything is actually happening from the safe. So like in the example of the SPT token, it has an owner, and the owner is actually the safe. It's not the minion address. So, and any funds or tokens, if you're sending to another DAO or anything like that, you send it to the safe's address. There is kind of an escape hatch if something gets sent to the minion, but there's no reason to do that.
Okay.
So one really sweet thing about V3. Oh, let's go ahead. I'll let you finish there.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Yeah, V3 is going to be a little bit easier because one of the challenges UI that you're talking about is sort of like different interfaces and different, like you asked if there's different considerations for different minions, and the answer to that is definitely like yes. They all work differently. They're different contracts. That's why we generally recommend like now, just use the new one. But having a like DAO contract that kind of behaves as a minion sort of by default with Moloch v3 by making those arbitrary contract executions will simplify this a lot. And there'll be like one kind of static flow just in general, which I think will be very nice, both on the kind of the development side and in the usability side as well.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so many, like especially like Sam with the subgraph mapping every single type of minion out, and it's just like it's been a lot. We had to do it just because we want to keep progressing and making better minions over time, and we want to fix mistakes, but every time we release a new minion, it's a big challenge. Cool. Anyone else here have any other questions? Maybe are there any community developers here that have like had some troubles on building on these rails? Something that sucked or something that worked, but they still have some questions about, or I still got a bit of time left here. So if you have any questions, by all means, let me know. Anyone, doesn't have to be community, but I do see a few community developers here. Don't be shy.
If nobody else is piping up, Dr. Hongo is here, and he's working on that DAO visualizer. And
right.
He was mentioning that he was kind of recommended to go the way that DAO Books went, and theirs is kind of like on a subdomain and kind of a different style than what we're looking at here, and kind of wondering if that's something that we explicitly support, or if it's easy enough to do that you might as well, or I don't know, how does all that go down?
Yeah, for sure. Dr. Hongo, you there? I remember Dr. Hongo. We chatted a while back.
I'm here, yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's what I would recommend definitely, is to build kind of your own app. What I would say is like give it like 1 month or 2 months. What we're doing is we're building new rails on a new Moloch contract, but we're also building a bunch of tools to help you build that application way faster. And that's how we're building our application. So with the V2 DAOhaus app, we kind of have everything sort of smashed together in one application. And what we just, due to all this complexity and data, it just became an extremely kind of bloated app, and it became really hard to iterate on. So what we're trying to do now is it kind of extend it into many apps that have like smaller purposes, which makes it much easier for developers. So we'll have like all the same endpoints and stuff open, but we're going to have like stuff like a component library for you to work with, or we'll have, so you can like reuse the branding and stuff from DAOhaus, or there's our SDK, which you can get the data about DAOs in from. There will be a bunch of like really useful things for you, so that you can work with kind of the new Rails. I would recommend just waiting just a little bit of time before we have those tools out. Because I do know that like building a lot of, like, I remember a lot of work went into DAO Books. A great app. I use it personally. But I would say wait for the new tools, and it'll speed it up for you a lot.
Although he's using a lot of the V2 data because he's doing the visualizations.
You can still, I guess.
Really, what you were bringing up, UI, is the difference between. Yeah. So there's still going to be very helpful tools, right, with the components and everything.
Yeah.
But The difference between like a boost and a bolt-on, I guess, is kind of what that question might have been, Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. So the bolt-on applications is what we call it, and that's like the separate application that we're thinking about here. And for a DAO visualizer, from what I remember, you're building like a 3D visualizer for all the DAOs in the ecosystem, which, Deacon, as you mentioned, that'd be really good for V2 because that's where most of them are populated. I would still, just because you can get the app up and running faster with the tools, I would use those, like the DAOhaus Connect library, the maybe not the SDK. What you can do is look and see how we bring in some of the V2 data from the V2 app and just bring that into the new app. And then you can still use a lot of those tools, the V3 tools, to help you build a V2 app if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's what I was thinking of doing with one of these tutorials eventually.
Yeah, it'd be a good one for the SBT stuff even. We just kept on building on this.
Totally.
Yeah, the visualizer that Dr. Hongo built is actually super cool. So go check it out if you get a chance. It takes a little while to boot up on my machine because I've got a pretty slow machine, but it's very visual. It's 3D. You can drag things around. You can see all the members and DAOs and how they're linked to other DAOs, and you can query and filter down out of all thousands of DAOs that are on our platform, and it's very powerful. And I think I originally said to go off of DAO Books because they did it first, and it was kind of like this bolt-on feature that was linked through the Ethereum layer, so through the smart contracts and through the subgraphs, but wasn't necessarily attached to our front end. So it's a new front end with accessing the same data. But that's kind of stuff is pretty cool, and it's gonna be super powerful once the rest of this V3 stuff is done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that's there's one good reason to still work on the V2 rails if you want, is that like the existing community, I forget how many DAOs we have, it's a decent amount, is still like currently on V2. So if you want to leverage that community immediately, you can build using some of the V3 UI tools, but call some of the V2 APIs. I don't know how far into the project you are, Dr. Hongo, but that's something to think about. Let me know if you have any questions, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.
George, so when in the V3 app, and obviously we're dealing with new contracts and stuff, primarily, at first at least, will the forms and the transaction stuff, will there be the same kind of idea of boosts and kind of Legos, or is it going to look a little different? It's
something like I really want it because like I there's difficulties to using the boost Legos, but I just built a transaction with some and I forgot how like much building transactions manually sucks, and like doing all your error handling and stuff for every single transaction and all that. So I'm definitely going to build out a significant portion of that architecture. And I hope I have time to really like get all of it built, like the form Legos, the transaction Legos, and even like some adapter functions, hopefully that like maybe we could run through the old boosts and just try to adapt them to the V3 architecture, at least as best as we can. I think some of them might actually be adaptable. We might have to port a bunch of inputs over. That's kind of the thing that doesn't port very well, is those really complicated form inputs. But some of the other things might. The transactions might port. Right now, in their current stage, I kind of like, at least with the transaction builder, I just took the central like transaction submitter and the polling and sort of just smash them into one function and serve them throughout the apps. But I didn't do the search data thing yet.
So maybe the last thing, we actually have an SBT we could send out if people want to send their addresses, or should we just save that for the next time? But we could use the one you just built and send everyone one.
Yeah, do we want it's a test one token? Do we want to, do you want to do a new one here?
Of course.
Actually, let's just, I think maybe just for next time, we'll have that metadata down and everything. A little bit more preparation, I think, on my part before the tutorial is probably key. I only started like an hour before this. If maybe we want to get a list of people's addresses, we can maybe do it post hoc or whatever.
Cool. Well, if people want to just post your address in the chat, and we'll send over a SoulBound token. And maybe you'll get 2 if you come to the next talk as well.
Yeah, we should make a fishbowl DAO.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a V3.
Yeah, we should get topics that people maybe request as well. But that's in due time. Looking to hang out with you folks more.
Yeah, and then just to thanks George for putting this together. This was helpful. We have a video up of the last Boost tutorial that Jord hosted for us, as well as a step-by-step written tutorial in our docs that walks you all the way through it in great detail. And we'll be taking some of the stuff that the concepts that were covered here and breaking that down into the docs too. So watch out for the next video and the next updates. It's all at DAOhaus.club.
Yeah, and if you build your SBT boost, don't send me 50 million asshole tokens. I think I just cursed myself by saying that, but
Soul graffiti.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks
It would be
everybody.
expensive.
Yep, thanks, George.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you everyone for coming. I'll see you hopefully next week.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, ciao everyone.
Thank you. Bye.